Hi guys. England are probably technically qualified, even as like a third place side, but we missed a massive opportunity today to not beat Denmark and confirm ourselves as group leaders. And sorry. And that performance was just so disappointing and piss poor overall. And it's a step backwards from what we did against Serbia, I think. It's in some facets, maybe not, but in others a lot. Southgate has once again illustrated his incompetence in a number of ways, which we will get into. Obviously, created Denmark, who arguably played better than us, I would say. I still don't think they deserve to win. I think a draw was probably the fairest result, but I will say that Denmark played better, if that makes sense. So in today's show, for the next maybe 50 minutes or so, just because I don't want this to interfere with your guys' enjoyment of the Spain-Italy game. We're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about what are the main issues with England, what's going on, what are the potential solutions. Are there any potential solutions? The answer is yes, but will we actually find them? If you guys have got any questions or thoughts as we proceed throughout the show, feel free to leave them in the chat. You do not need to send in a super chat to have your comment read out and reacted to. The whole point of these shows is that it is an engaging one. It's like a conversation situation. Am I going to get a third Pepsi Max? Yeah, fuck it. As a treat. I need a treat, guys, after watching that. If you're watching, please leave a like on the video. If you're new, please subscribe to the channel for more football content. If you enjoy football content, if you don't, then don't subscribe. There you go. MIB with a fantastic suggestion. Sadly, it's a little bit too late for that. It's better for England if they finish third than second. Yeah, it would exactly must. Yeah, we must not, because if we finish second, guys, we're out in the round of 16 because we would face Germany. No, we are in no world clear. Based on that performance, they would wipe the floor with us. We've got to avoid that at all costs. Absolutely. Matty says, should we just move Bellingham next to Rice and Foden in the 10? We'll discuss that, Matty, don't you worry. Fuscan says, how overrated is Rice? James McLean was right to cook him. He didn't have a good game today. That is a very fair thing to say, I think. Yes, indeed, Musty. Yeah, so I wanted to finish first, though. There we go. B says, Southgate out. Mustafi Villa, Denmark. Hello, William. By the way, guys, if you're a member, shout out to you. You can become a member and support me by clicking the join button. Or there's a link in every single video description. Buzzing as a Danish fan, we play great, absolutely. Brexit means Brexit, and Southgate doesn't know what he's doing. Absolutely, William. It'd be interested to hear what your thoughts were as an opposition fan. Hello, Justin. Hello, Michael and Suri as well. How far can England go like this? Says Ayushi. As soon as we come up against a side with some genuine individual, just general quality, we will get exposed very, very easily. And we have been exposed already, but we are going to get even more exposed. Now, I don't want to pin everything on Southgate, because I don't know if that's fair. I think that he does need to take a lot of the responsibility for this, because we've said it before. If you have the player who won La Liga Player of the Year in your team, and the player who won Premier League Player of the Year in the team, and you have Kane, who was probably second in the voting for Bundesliga Player of the Year, and top goal scorer, etc., and you have Trent, who is an unbelievable passer of the ball, etc. And you have Declan Rice, who's one of the best defensive midfielders in the world, etc., etc. And you can't get a tune out of them, then I will say that the manager does need to bear a lot of the responsibility and burden in respect to not getting the best out of them. Let's start with the first half. The first half was a lot better, to be honest, than the second half. It was nice to see Foden more involved, that's for sure. His final actions weren't perfect. There are a couple moments where his shooting wasn't quite ideal. My favourite player... Wait, who's my favourite player, Musty? Oh, Shoaib, yeah, for fuck's sake. There were some moments where he should have passed, but overall, I actually thought that he certainly wasn't bad by any means. His overall game was probably better than the Serbia game. He was, and I know it's not a high bar to reach, but he was one of our best players. And it is, and I think, Photon, this is a really good point. even though he wasn't particularly brilliant today, Foden, I'd give him maybe like a 6 or a 7 out of 10 overall. I'm not saying that he was brilliant by any means, but absolutely, he was the player who was making the most threatening actions, that's for sure. Now, why was he able to make those actions? Because he was, in that first half, he clearly given more license to go into the midfield. But as we'll get to it, the main issue with that comes from the fact that then our width on the left comes from a right back, and that's not going to happen. So if people, in fact, I remember like after the Serbia game, someone having a go at Foden for not holding the width on the left. And it's like, that's not the issue. It's not his role or responsibility to do that. And also clearly he's not being instructed to do that. Otherwise he would. I've seen Foden be a touchline winger for City. Terrible, but I've seen him do it and be disciplined and do that. So he's clearly being told by Southgate to go into the midfield. And when that happened, I'm not trying to. I like Bellingham. I'm not going to sound like I'm bashing him, but clearly Foden's a much better 10 than Bellingham. Hopefully that's not in dispute, and there's nothing wrong with that because Foden is more of a 10, Bellingham is more of an 8. But in respect of that 10 work, if you think that traditional work as a 10 or whatever, particularly in the playmaking perspective, or even shooting from distance, to be fair, or whatever, or being useful in those small spaces, those aren't really the traits I associate with a Bellingham, than they are what I associate with Foden. Bellingham wasn't good today, to be honest, but his dual work is normally the thing I'm very happy with from Jude. And he is indeed, he's absolutely a Gundogan type player. He's an 8, he's a box-to-box. So there's no shame in him not being as good as a 10, because I did watch him at Charles, same conclusion. He's an 8 who can play as a 10. His job in Real Madrid isn't to be a playmaker. So I'm not saying, so it's not actually his fault. And his best work in general that I associate with him is the duel winning, and it is the carrying from deep and the progressing from deep. And even the best moments he did actually in the game was that ball from deep that he played through to Watkins. What were the two keywords there? From a deeper starting position. Now that doesn't equate to start him as a defensive midfielder. No, that's silly. But absolutely, play him as an 8 because he's an 8, not as a 10 because you don't need to do that. Next season, I'd be staggered if Bellingham plays as a 10. I'm convinced he only did that because he had to, because Real Madrid didn't have an actual striker. So he actually had to do that. Now they've got Mbappe, very, 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 very surprised if that's the case. Sure, made a good point about Kane having no pace and in place around him that do the running. I want Gordon on the left foot and the 10 Jude with Rice. We'll see a totally different player. And that is a very good point. And this is something that we've addressed before. Oh, sorry, Charles, shut up. I don't know if I said it on my post-mortem. I definitely brought this up on Mo's show. Bellingham, a player who wants the ball to feet. Foden, ball to feet. Rice, ball to feet. Trippier, even, ball to feet. Kane, ball to feet. Not many players who want to naturally... what's the term? Stretch the opponent's backline. That's what Saka is. But we need more than that, because as we saw in the first game against Serbia, we can't rely on only Saka being the outlet and the willing runner. That's how we scored the first goal, by the way, because Saka was the willing runner from Walker's ball. But everyone else, it is the key emphasis is on ball to feet, sadly. That's why I agree. I would like to see a Gordon brought into the team if we're not going to have Luke Shaw. That's what Luke Shaw would have done, by the way. But he's injured, and we've only brought one left back. We've only brought one left-footed defender, which is staggering. Staggering. This leads to a situation. These are the average positions from the game, guys, in case you're interested. Now, we totally abandoned the sort of City way of playing, if you will. That's what we did in the first half against Serbia. It was clearly out and out a 3-2-2-3. We seem to go to more of a traditional back four setup in this game. which I don't know how I feel about it. I sort of consider it a bit of a step backwards, to be honest, because I do think the best way to get the best... I think the way to get the best out of these players is to do that situation, but the players have to be put into the correct areas. And once again, the issue is if we have a look at that number 10, which is Bellingham, as was the case with his time at Real Madrid, he is like drawn to that left side. The issue is that Southgate has set up the side where technically that's Foden's position. So what's happening, it happened more in the Serbia, it happened less in this game to be fair, more so in the Serbia game. But what is happening overall is that basically players are getting in each other's way and it's not efficient. The best moments I think of today's game came when Foden was able to link up with Saka on the right-hand side. So what I think needs to happen now, and if we go to my trusty tactical board, we can have a chat about this. What I think needs to happen, let's get the ball in the Denmark net. What a win. What I think needs to happen is that... maybe I should do this when we come to talk about Trent, actually, to be fair. But essentially, yeah, just start 12 players, to be honest. Easy mode. But no, if we are living in a world, and maybe this, yeah, we do need to talk about Trent here. It's not Trent's fault. I don't think he played particularly well today. He did put in one good ball through over for Saka, to be fair. But so I do need to make it clear that it's not his fault because he's not a midfielder. But too many times he's getting caught out, particularly off the ball. This is the reality. If we are living in a world where Walker must start, and we're not living in that world, by the way. We are not living in that world because he doesn't have to. Oh my goodness me. But if Southgate is insistent, if he is insistent on that being the case, then I'm sorry. I don't want him to not start, but I'm sorry, but Trent can't start. It can't happen. Because we just lose so much by having him in midfield, and it just totally disrupts the rest of the side. What needs to happen, this is in respect to like off-ball structure at least, is just that. And that solves a lot of issues immediately. I would like us to go one step further, take off Trippier, put on Gomez. Okay, I don't think Trippier's played particularly well defensively or going forwards, to be honest. And then when it comes to the on-ball situation, you can now you've got an actual width holder here. What happens is that, well, ideally I'd have Trent coming into the midfield. You can either just have something simple and basic like this, or you can have let's swap those two around. Or you can have a situation where Foden goes to the right half space, Bellingham over here. We can have fucking Gomez inverting if you're fucking desperate to do it. You could have Stones doing that there. This isn't ideal because again, I'd rather Trent be on the pitch. But you could definitely have something like that, for example. Oh yeah, I did switch. Yeah, because now it means that you can have Bellingham attacking the left half space. Again, in an ideal world, I'd have Trent here. And then if you want to, you can do the whole fucking inverting thing over there. The point I'm trying to make here is that there is a really easy solution to make this work. It's not rocket science. And what that does is it gets Gordon on the pitch. We have a wide left outlet now. Because Bellingham is, in that game, he was being like a borderline hindrance in terms of the areas he was occupying, again, by getting in other players' way. That means that he can just have that zone locked in or whatever. Foden, brilliant link up with Saka today. We commit to that, yes? And then you've got a really promising attacking setup, and it's still solid defensively. Again, if we're not having Trent on for whatever reason, out of possession, that is solid. Nice little 4-2-3-1, solid. Decent. Go to a 4-4-2 if you want. But we seem to be doing a 4-2-3-1. That is the thing, guys. It's a really, really, really simple solution. In an ideal world, if Luke Shaw was fit, then we could actually squeeze in a Mainu or a Wharton and get rid of Gordon, and it would still work, and maybe that would be better, because I still think in an ideal world one of those two would start, but that's not possible without a proper left back. And whose fault is it we don't have a proper left back? It's Gareth Southgate's fault, because he only brought Luke Shaw, who isn't fully fit. So that solves all these issues, because again, it's too congested. It is far too congested on that left side, to be honest, and it leads to a situation where it's not optimal. Players are getting in everyone's way, and it's just not an ideal situation. So that is the state of play there, guys. But that's only half the issues that I have with what we saw today. What on earth were those substitutions? It's fine if you want to bring on Watkins. It's absolutely fine. But why are you taking off Trent? Because now we've lost a player who would find those runs in behind. It's fine that you want to bring on Bowen, but taking off Saka? Really? Taking off... It's fine. It's an interesting thing to bring on Eze, but taking off Foden? Really? Bringing on Gallagher, though. Oh, my God. What does he do? Apart from get booked and run around and look busy, in terms of like actual net positives, he doesn't do... The issue is he's not doing anything. And I'm so concerned that Gallagher has turned into his modern-day Henderson. He's turned into his 2024 Henderson. His World Cup 2022 Henderson. And he's so scared. And it's like his safety net, his security blanket. We need to commit. We score a goal and we play within ourselves. And we are insistent, as in the first game, on launching it. When you have small space operators like Foden and Saka and brilliant passers of the ball, it makes no sense. It just makes no sense. There's a total disconnect. Is the word I'm after a dichotomy? I don't know if it is. I'm gonna make sure I understand the definition of that word. Yes, okay. There's a dichotomy. A divisional contrast between two things that are being represented as being opposed, or yes. There's a dichotomy between how we are set up to play and the players we have on the pitch. We have Foden, we have Bellingham, we have Saka, we have Kane, we have Stones, and we are not playing a succinct, tight, passing game. We are playing ourselves into situations where we are sloppy on the ball. We are putting our midfield into a situation where we've got a player in Trent who can't, it's not his fault. He can't do that. It's not his fault. And I really hope this puts to bed this whole idea of let's play Trent in midfield. And we all knew it wouldn't work because he's not got the wherewithal to play with, to be optimal with his back to play. He's not that guy. That moment where he got fouled, I don't think it was a foul actually, and he tried to play his way out of trouble. That's not his game. That is not his game. You need Trent away from like an opposition press, and preferably just with time and space, and because he's not that press resistant, I think is the point I'm trying to make here. He needs to play in front of him so he can do those diagonals and to play those long balls in behind. Like the one time he did it for Saka, it was actually very good. That is the utilization of Trent. How Germany use Kroos, I said it in the Discord, how Germany use Kroos, whatever, is a similar method to how we should be using Trent, where Kroos basically goes to left centre-back in like the initial phases of the game. Why can't we do that with Trent? It gets him out of the danger zone in respect to the midfield, and he can be dangerous himself. It gets, and then once in settled possession, then you can push him up to where he plays for Liverpool, where he actually occupies almost like borderline Kevin De Bruyne position sometimes. That is what needs to happen. Sadly, the internet is now going to decide that Trent is shit and has got to be dropped and should never play again or whatever. And it's not his fault. That's the thing. There is clearly a player there who should be playing in his optimal position, and politically it becomes difficult now because Walker played well in that first game, got the pre-assist, and Walker played well today and got the pre-assist. So now it becomes, it's probably politically impossible to drop Walker now, to be honest, because if you drop him, it's like, what more could I have possibly done? Would be Walker's point of view, and he'd be well within his right to do that. So, and that's Southgate's own. That's become a problem of Southgate's own making. So now we're in a world where it's probably more likely and probably more optimal to sacrifice Trent, and that's terrible. Any other manager makes it work when you got a player of Trent's quality, but it's not going to happen. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is anymore. If Walker has to play every game, then actually, genuinely, the solution is to play one of Mainu or Wharton instead of him. Or, actually, better solution, play Bellingham where Trent is, play Foden where Bellingham is, and play Gordon. So that's the Trent situation. Harry Kane, I don't really know what's going on. Passing's not been great. Shooting was fine. Obviously, he scored a goal. Nice finish. But even he got more touches today, which is nice. But I'm going to coin a new term. You know, in the NBA, they have garbage time, where like, where what? Well, like, the game's done, and garbage minutes or whatever it's called, and like the players get dead minutes. Do you get me? Like, the game's done, bring on squad players, empty your bench. I'm going to coin a new term, garbage touches, I'm going to call them, where a player is getting touches for the sake of getting touches and dropping deep for the sake of dropping deep. I've coined a new term there. I don't know if it's ever been used before. I'm going to claim it. Again, it's getting touches for the sake of getting touches. There's no point. I'd rather you just be in the box and be a threat there and force the opposition defense backwards. That's what I would rather see. But instead, he keeps dropping deep, and again, he is getting in the way. He is getting in the way of other players. And it's very frustrating and very upsetting. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. That's the Kane situation. Yes, when one team's winning a lot. Yeah, so that's my new term. Feel free to use. I don't really like the term garbage because that's an Americanism, but rubbish touches doesn't really have the same ring to it. Hello, Jack. Same thing that shows the best decision I made. Oh my god. No, yeah, Andrew, we just talked about the Trent situation. It's incredibly frustrating for him, and sadly, Southgate has now forced himself into a situation where he's probably got to drop him. Because he now can't drop Walker because he's had 2 good games. If I was the manager, I'd still drop him. But again, I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can do that now. That's his own fault. That's his own problem. And sadly, it's a massive L for our entire squad as a whole. I agree Gomez should be starting. Harry Kane dropping deep means runner in behind like Rashford and Gordon. That's why I think Gordon should be starting realistically. Shout out to England, time wasting at 86 minute 1-1 whilst Pickford coming up for a free kick. Oh my god, if you were on the watch along, I was screaming at Conor Gallagher. It is no, I appreciate that the game's dead, the game's over. We're probably not going to get a last minute goal. You never know though. Serbia did, to be fair. It is the 93rd minute. Literally, you've got to get the ball forward, get the ball in. And he receives the ball, and he just passes it back immediately like a coward. Turn! Forwards! Move! Do something! It's like, I don't know what I'm watching. It's like, that is what people think Jack Grealish is. It's just so bad to watch, and it's so useless. It's just such a waste of a waste of a space. If you're going to bring on Gallagher for Trent, I don't necessarily think it was the wrong decision to take off Trent if you're starting Walker. Bring on Wharton, bring on Mainu, bring on Gordon and put Bellingham in his position. It's really annoying. So that's that rant. Saka, like Foden, probably are better players, but that's not saying much. I think that we need to now hopefully accept that it is a bad thing to build up one player to such a degree that they become like the face of the team, and that the team must almost sort of be built around them in a way if they aren't designed to be built around. What we have done is we have, and this isn't me having a go at Bellingham, because again, I like him as a player a lot. I just don't think he's being used properly. We have created a situation for ourselves where we have given Bellingham like a Kevin De Bruyne role, where he's been given the freedom to go wherever he wants and to try to control the game and to try to be the main guy and the main playmaker. And I'm sorry, but I do not think that Bellingham is that guy for that task. He's not got the, in my opinion, the attributes to do that job. And I think that was, you can say it's just one bad game at that, and that's absolutely fine. But there were too many occasions where that was the case. That's not how he plays for Madrid though, Charles. It's wrong in my opinion. He's not got the playmaking. He's not as good in is not as good as maybe he thinks he is in those tighter spaces. The solution is to play our best 8 as an 8 and to not give him a free role, because I think that's silly. And not to give anyone a free role either, by the way. I don't think anyone should have a free role. I don't think the team should be built around any individual. But that is clearly a hindrance, as evidenced, again, as we discussed, in that whole left side situation, where players are just bumping into each other. And it's incredibly frustrating to watch. He drifts everywhere, he drops deep at times. Again, not for Madrid, he doesn't, no. Certainly not to that degree anyway. Why is Foden being criminally used? Says MFC. Well, I mean, part of it stems from what we just discussed then, to be fair. Another part of it stems from, if we're playing him on that left side, then he needs an actual left back to work with. Yeah. I think he probably was used a little bit better against than against Serbia, because we actually got him on the ball a lot. Charles thinks he should play on the left, and this is what we discussed, and then this is what we discussed now. Watchalong, if he is so desperate to operate on that left hand side, then do that. And commit to allowing Foden to just be in the right half spaces. I don't think that's Foden's best position, by the way, or area of the pitch. But for England's sake, it probably makes a lot of sense. And again, he can have that lovely link up with Saka. So it's just, it's so frustrating because it's really, really, really simple solutions, and yet it's just not happening. And this is early in the tournament as well. It's early in the tournament. It's only the second game in. Even the first game, so many issues. So many. Phil says, how can we never hear the players complaining they play too many England games? Sorry, do you mean like in terms of being tired? Beast says, someone please remind Southgate, Cole Palmer had the most J out Premier League last season with 33, and Watkins had the second most with 32. But to be fair, I don't think that Palmer should be starting, to be honest. To be fair. I will be watching that. Yes, Ram Ready. We will wrap up the stream from before then. Don't you worry. You won't miss any of it. Foden was England's biggest attacking threat as soon as he shifted in centrally. Surprise, surprise. Yeah. What I would like to see, essentially, and Charles touched on it, and we touched on it earlier, is how we set up against Belgium in that second half. Bellingham played like a lot on that left side / left half space, and it was Foden who played very, very, very centrally, and it worked really well. And like Foden ran the show to great effect. We should just do that again. And again, just commit to that. That does probably, well, no, it absolutely involves picking between Trent and Walker. And as we discussed, it's a situation that Southgate has forced himself to do so. If England get grouped, at least Foden will have a rest. Always look on the bright side, I suppose. But yeah, it's just... I don't know how many more times I can keep saying it's so frustrating. But by the way, guys, we've got over 100 people. We've got over 100 people watching and only 28 likes, guys. Come on. If you enjoy my content and want me to succeed as a content creator, we need the likes. So come on, we need to get to 100. Come on, boys. Please leave a like on the video. It really helps. It's free. If you like the video, it tells YouTube this is a good show. We get more viewers in. I can grow. I can pay my mortgage. It's a lovely time, etc., etc. Thank you, Justin, for joining. And yeah, there's the rest situation. So what does it mean for like the sort of future for England? Well, I like to think I'm very optimistic in terms of being an England fan. I'll always say it's coming home because that's the whole point of the song is being blindly optimistic in the face of being rubbish. The difference is that people have drawn lots of parallels between this England side as like a golden generation, which I think is a fair thing to say, and the golden generation of previous England sides. What I would say about that, though, is the main issue with that previous golden generation... Always go if you're less of that. The main issue with that golden generation, it wasn't even the players that were picked in respect to the squad. It was the main issue was that we just refused to play a defensive midfielder. Basically, if you had Owen Hargreaves and Carrick in that side, then it probably would have worked. Scholes being on the left is a red herring. That was not the reason why that England side struggled. He played on the left loads for United. That's a red herring for people saying that was the reason why that side wasn't that good. That was actually fine. The main issue was playing Lampard and Gerrard in the midfield too. There was no balance at all. That's if you had, and then playing a 4-4-2 generally. If you just ditched one of Lampard and Gerrard, and then play an actual like 4-2-3-1 or whatever, then it would have been fine. And start Hargreaves and Carrick would have been absolutely fine. But alas, no. But the main difference between that and this is that we have the players on the pitch largely. Like, you know, Bellingham, one of our... The best 8 is there. Foden, the best 10 is there. Rice, the best 6 is there. The pieces are all there. They're just not being used properly. And it's incredibly annoying. And there is no explanation for it. This, I don't know if I said it before, this is maybe my biggest grievance with Southgate. His comments. In the whole uproar near the start of the season where Foden was smashing it in the midfield, and there was like an England, it was either a qualification situation or like friendlies, people were saying, why aren't you playing Foden in the middle? Like, reporters were asking, why aren't you playing Foden in the middle? And Southgate said, well, that's not where he plays for his club. And Guardiola doesn't play him there, so that must be the right thing to do, basically is what he said. I'm paraphrasing, that's basically what he said. Now, I hated that for a number of reasons. The first one was, have you watched any City this season? Because he's not playing on the wing, he's playing in midfield. But the second thing is the contradictions. Because how many times has Trent played in the midfield for Liverpool? And by the midfield, I mean out and out midfield. I'm not talking about starting at right back and inverting into midfield. How many times has Trent started a game and finished a game as a midfielder for Liverpool? I don't think he's done it once. I think he played like the second half against Crystal Palace as a midfielder. He doesn't do it for his club. So why Southgate? It's one rule for Foden, but then another for Trent. And actually, what's hilarious is that the rule negatively impacts both of them. That weird philosophy, it negatively impacts both of them. And it's really, really stupid, to be honest. This is more of a rant, to be honest, guys. I'm very upset. Yeah, that's what I mean, Photon. Yeah, exactly. Hopefully I outlined that well enough. My prediction for the year is England win the group, get knocked out next round, Southgate to get forward. Michael. Was Foden thrown to the wing and didn't get to watch the game? Not really, no. He was allowed to drift, to be honest. So nominally on the left wing, but again, allow with that freedom to roam inside. Not quite the false winger role that we've seen at City. Sort of like a weird variation therein. But ultimately, still not utilised properly. The fact Southgate was in the Manchester derby and saw Foden destroying that while playing 10, he still plays with left wing. Once England take the lead, they try seeing the game out. Even if it's an early goal, invites pressure and they concede easily. But, and why? We have so much quality. Photon, we're on the same wavelength, mate. We've got so much quality. We've got some of the best which play, like, of like players who've, like, you know, like the top 5 best performing players in Europe this season, the top 5 European players this season, at least 3 are English in like Foden, Bellingham, and Kane in terms of their performances this year. If you can't get a tune out of them, and we're having conversations about, you know, why Bellingham didn't play that well and why maybe Trent didn't play that well or whatever, then the problem is surely on the manager. Of course, players do need to take some responsibility. Like, I will say, I'm not going to totally defend Bellingham because some of the work he did was questionable. Giving away the ball in weird, really weird areas of the pitch. Not top 5 European players, Jack. I think he's definitely got a strong case to be up there. That's for sure. So yeah, it's just. It's so deflating because I know what this England team's capable of. Because I know these players. They're very good. But they do need to be set up right. And this is what annoys me when people say system players. Because it depends how you define what a system player is. But if people's definition of a system player is they need to be used properly to play optimally, then I would argue that basically every player is a system player. Like if you don't set up a team, sorry, if you don't set up a side for players to thrive, then of course they're going to underperform. So it's just a non-point thing to say, to be honest. If you have a midfielder who thrives in a possession side, and then you don't play a possession-based system, then of course they're not going to play as well. And again, that's the same with every player on the planet. If you play a defender who is not used to that, you know, the opposite, then it's going to be the same results. It's very annoying. Photon. Oh, Jack with a controversial take there. Bellingham will still win the Ballon d'Or, and that causes me anger. Desert Citizen, I don't think players believe in the system they're playing. Well, clearly they don't, and this is what we were talking about before with that dichotomy between the two. And it was on full display in that second half against Serbia more so. Also in this game, Pickford's clearly being instructed to hoof it. But Foden wants it, and Bellingham wants it. And like Trent wants it, etc. They want to play it short. We've got the players to play out of a press, but we're just punting it up and hoping we win the second ball. Why are we playing a 50-50 game? I know we've got like Kane and Bellingham who are good at winning duels or whatever. And I know Bellingham didn't win that many duels today, but in general, he's very good at that. We don't have to do that. We're playing like Man United. Man United have some very good ball players, and yet they still punt it up because Ten Hag's an idiot. That's what we're playing like. And maybe that's why I'm so frustrated. Because I've watched so much United this year, and they are crap. Largely because of that. You got Kobbie Mainoo on the pitch, and you're punting it up to Højlund. You got Onana as a keeper, and you're punting it up. It's just so counterintuitive, and the players clearly don't think that's the right thing to do because they keep showing for the ball and going short. It's very frustrating. Hello, Jono. Pundits will criticise the Stones for not pushing into midfield, but we're not playing that system. And it's clear. Yeah, like what? Are these people okay? It's like when people were criticising Foden in that Serbia game. Oh, why he's not holding the width? He's clearly not been told to do that, mate. What do you think? Oh, him going into midfield would not help, by the way. It would not help, given the players on the pitch. There is a world in which you can do the Stone system, but it's not ideal. Just going to the hospital. Oh, big up to you, Alec. Big up to you, mate. I'm glad everything's okay. Practicing United style already amazing. Crying as football, having such talented players playing such horrific football. Yeah, it's a shame. Yeah, big up, Alex. Sending you love and well wishes. Love that from you. So yeah, I don't know what else to say, to be honest. I feel like I'm repeating myself But the solution is simple. And as a City fan, sorry to bring it to City, but as a City fan, it's the exact same problems which were blighting us throughout like 2/3 of the season. We were not playing our best players in their best positions. We were shoehorning in players where they did not deserve to be shoehorned into. And that compromised directly and indirectly the balance and structure of the sides, particularly in the midfield. And that led to one side, in City's case our right, being largely ineffective. And it's the exact same thing with England. So as a City fan, I know exactly what is happening. I've experienced it. I know we won the Premier League, but I've still experienced it all season. We're not getting our best players into their best positions. We are so ineffective down one of our flanks. And the solution, as with City, the solution is so basic and so obvious. You do not need to be a tactical genius, which I am not, to figure out what the solution is. The solution is very easy. You just play your best players in their best positions. You do not bring on Conor Gallagher. You choose between 150 viewers, crazy. You choose between Trent or Walker. You have to make that decision. I'm not there is, unless you play a back five, which would be stupid, and like even then where you're going to put in Saka, this isn't the case of, oh, like when people were saying you got to pick between Bellingham and Foden, that was an incorrect thing to say. You have to pick between Trent and Walker. You cannot play both of them in the same team. No. Unless you totally change the formation, or you just weirdly commit Walker to being like a right centre-back, which would be weird. No. Commit. Which one are you starting? Make the decision. You want to bench Trent? Incorrect decision in my opinion, but go for it. Then we can bring in Gordon on the left, get Bellingham into his actual position of the 8, Foden in the 10, just commit to it. You want to start a Mania or Wharton? Fine, whatever. But either way, that for me is now Southgate's biggest decision. And sadly, I don't think he's going to make that decision. Or he will make that decision, but we'll see the same team which we saw 55 minutes onwards when he saw 10 minutes of the second half and he decided enough's enough. But his solution was to take off Trent and bring on Gallagher. It's not necessarily the wrong decision to take off Trent, but will he make the correct decision in terms of that? Thank you so much, MCFC. Very generous super chats. Thank you so much, matey. Hey, Novice, can you see a world where we pop the Bruno release clause, or is it off? Do you reckon? Clearly, MCFC. Again, thank you so much for the super chat. I don't understand how much that means. Clearly, we are not going to activate it, are we? We've decided that it's not money, it's not value, which I don't agree with. Some players, you need to think about the squad, and is it worth it to you? In the same way that Grealish proved that he was worth that money to City, Bruno, similar. And if we, yeah, I know we're going away from England for a second here. I'll go on record right now. If we do not sign a Bruno Guimaraes type player, I will go on record and say we will not win. For the first time in however many years, I'll predict City to not win the title. For the first time in like, I don't know, like 8 years, I'll predict us to not win the title. I'll predict Arsenal to win it. For me, he was, because he's one of our best players in the treble, and the treble is worth much more than that. We need some help for Rodri. Absolutely. We need a good one replacement. It's like a Judy Collins hit under Southgate. Sorry, Andy, I don't know what that means. I thought Sean, I thought Foden Saka linked up well. Totally agree. We were saying that on our watch-along, mate. Totally agree. Can't believe they were subbed as well. And maybe that's the way, again, that's the way forward. Let's go to the tactical board one more time. That's the wrong thing. Goodness me. There we go. That was the foot mob thing, was it? Yes, it was. Right. We aren't signing anyone, says the solution will be in-house. Guys. What am I doing? What was I going to do? Oh, yeah. Foden and Saka. My situation in a world where Shaw isn't available. This is how I want us to set up without the ball. Sorry, definitely not that relevant, mate. In a world where Shaw isn't fit, this is how I want us to set up off the ball. Because, like, MCFC again, thank you so much for the very generous super chat and for making me bold again. That's a lot of money. Just make sure you're looking after yourself, but thank you, mate. We'll look at your comment in a second. Walker didn't even need to do that much defensive work today. So I'm not having that we can't play Trent and his defensive frailty, whatever. This is solid off the ball. Saka's got a very good defensive work rate. I think Gomez has actually been better than Trippier this year and has been playing at left back for Liverpool, so it makes sense. And it means that you can get Bellingham, who's very good at winning the duels. No, it didn't happen today, but in general, very good at winning the duels in the midfield. In possession, it means that you can actually have a wide player here. And a wide player here. Lovely. We've actually got some outlets and someone who will actually make these fucking runs down that left side. Okay? It means that Bellingham who is desperate to go here anyway, it seems, in his natural area, can go to the left half space. And that's absolutely fine. It means that Rice obviously goes there, or comes across actually, and you can have Foden in the right half space. And as Sean said, and as we said, these two have a fantastic connection with one another. They must play more together. Big up to you, Si. How you doing, mate? Yeah, you play better, mate. I can't lie. These two have a brilliant connection with one another. Yes? Make it happen. Smian, to be fair, if you were desperate to play Walker, you could do that as well. I don't think that Walker should play, but if you are desperate to get him in the sides, you can definitely get Stones in there. I personally wouldn't do that, but the point is, you can. So that could also work if you really wanted to. And then you have Trent starting from fullback, so he's not a midfield liability. And once you're in a settled defensive shape, he can actually go over here and actually, you know, take up those De Bruyne-like positions and put in those De Bruyne-like balls or whatever. You could even create a situation where it's technically more like this. Where it's a bit like a diamond, where Trent does what Stones did in the Champions League final, where he goes to basically the right of a diamond. You got Rice at the base, Bellingham again floating over here, and Foden in the nominal 10. That would also work. We won't be live streaming Spain versus Italy, guys. I will be doing more. I will be doing more non-England stuff. Apologies, like if you guys saw my thing, something happened with my nana earlier in the week. We were going to do streams, then personal stuff stopped that. We'll probably do. In fact, who is even playing tomorrow? But yeah, you could definitely do the point. You could It doesn't have to be a solid 3-2-2-3. It doesn't have to be a solid 3-1-6 or a 3-4-3 diamond. The point is, the personnel is there. The options are there for it to work. And again, if you don't like Trent there, fine. Get Stones there. That works too. Yeah, they can have Stones. I still don't think it's ideal, but that is better than whatever. It's better than it's a thing. Anyway, guys, it's incredibly frustrating. In my opinion, the solution is obvious, basic, simple. But I need to get. Oh, sorry, MCFC again. Thank you so much, mate. You've spent £15 on me today. Thank you so much, you beautiful man. More, yeah. Big up, Louise. Big up, Louise, guys. Only 74 likes, not good enough. Come on, guys. Come on, we need to touch 100. Sadly, it seems like we're gambling on Newcastle's profit sustainability issues. Keep up the good work. One of the people that break down tactics without waffle and BS. Thank you so much, MCFC. And again, your super chats and your support allows me to continue making these streams. So I genuinely really appreciate it, my mate. You don't understand. But I don't see Newcastle selling him for less than his £100 million. So I don't know if we want to play hardball. I don't know what we think we're doing. There's been the most outside goals this Euro 2024 group stage over the last... Really? That's mad. You know what's so funny about that? It's like I've seen all over the timeline. Because it gets likes, doesn't it? Because it's like it's cool to bash on Pep and City generally. As much as people say they don't like us, or sorry, as much as people say they don't care about us, they clearly do. To the nth degree. I saw a really good tweet and I totally agreed with it. This has probably been the most Pep international tournament in years. The amount of teams doing positional play, and the amount of teams like using false wingers, and the amount of sides doing like double, like double inverted fullbacks and all that bollocks. The amount of screamers from outside the box. Those are all Pep fucking staples. Didn't City score the most goals from outside the box last season? And people are saying, oh, another screamer, and, Pep's football's in the mud. That is literally Pep's football. What are you talking about? The whole point is to pin the opposition back and create space for your long shot specialists. Rodri, Gundogan, Foden, whoever. Alvarez. Like, it's just stupid. It's stupid. I've done a video on this, mate. Would recommend go giving it a watch if you want my who I think City should sign. Anyone who is a Bruno Guimaraes profile, Smian, I've not watched nearly enough of Vitinha. Is he that? If so, bring him in. I like the look of João Neves personally, but isn't he more expensive than Bruno? I don't care, bring him in, honestly. If bringing him in would keep Bernardo at the club, do it. I just hate how we're being all coy. Like, oh, I don't want to spend too much money. Oh, piss off, City. You just got 20 million quid for Taylor Harwood-Bellis, guys. Come on. Come on, live a little. I don't care about the net spend trophy. Indeed, man, but it would be a project at least, wouldn't it? At least a project. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I say this has been an England stream. We've had I feel like we've had an average over 100 people watching, which has been brilliant for an England stream. Because obviously I know this is a City specific, a City emphasis channel. Next season I do want to do more non-City content if I can. True, Jack, true. Thank you again so much to MCFC for the super chats. I feel like you're always super chatting, so thank you, mate. Again, you've given me £15 there, incredibly generous. Thank you so much. We'll be back. In fact, when will we be back? Let's take a look. I like how you've enjoyed. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Let's have a look at the games. Or maybe Netherlands-France tomorrow, potentially. Guys, what we think about Netherlands-France? That could be tasty. It's probably better than Slovakia-Ukraine anyway. Saturday, maybe. Turkey-Portugal. Not doing Spain-Italy, guys. No, I'm going to shoot off. Yeah, I'm looking at tomorrow Netherlands-France. And then Turkey-Portugal could be fun, because the other games tomorrow, guys, are Poland-Austria and Slovakia-Ukraine. Ugh. Saturday, Belgium-Romania might be interesting. I think Turkey-Portugal would be a lot more fun though. Hello, Crazy Pizza. So I think we should lock those games in, guys. Netherlands-France tomorrow, and then the day after we'll do Turkey-Portugal. Sunday, we've got a choice of Scotland, Hungary, or Switzerland-Germany. If we want to watch one there. And then what are the other games? Oh, Croatia, Italy. That would be fun. England, Slovenia, obviously. Maybe even Netherlands, Austria. We can definitely do some double watch-alongs as well. Potentially, if the games are interesting enough. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Have a lovely rest of your evening. I'm going to go watch Spain, Italy now. And thank you for joining me. Have a lovely rest of your evening. See you all next time. Bye. Leave a like on the video, little rats. Shout out to MCFC again. Big up. That's my boy.